rebuild this frame assembly where the tailgate rests when it's closed. How we're going to do that is by replacing both uprights with 1.5 by 2 inch rectangle tubing, I believe, and a 2x4 across the bottom. And then the idea is to remove these factory braces, hopefully save them, and modify them to fit with the new uprights, because I do believe the uprights are going to be slightly different than the factory setup, just because I'm not going to be rolling any of these edges over like it is here, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Scope out some of these super gnarly Ford welds. But it's worked for however many years ago 1964 was. So once we get the uprights and the cross beam in, probably what I'll do is mock those up, tack them, make sure these angles are all correct, and then pull it off onto the fab table and finish weld it, bring it back over, and then attach it with the factory style bracing, whether it be modified or not, just to secure that frame assembly into position. And then I'm going to remake these caps because they need remade. But then remaking these will allow us to tie this frame assembly, which, while being supported with this bracket, we'll be able to tie it in with this upper rail. I do have measurements, believe it or not. Got measurements, made a little paper template. Have some 16 gauge, 14 gauge, can't remember. We'll cut that out, bend it up on the brake, and that should finish that whole top rail off nicely once that frame assembly is in place. So here we have the slab of 18 gauge made off of the template that we took on the truck. As you can see, I have the fold lines marked out. So let's break this bad boy. The idea is to have this thing as squared up to the brake as possible. That way the bend is true, or plumb. Or however you want to vocabularize that. I'm going to be bending these at roughly a 90-degree angle on each bend. However, the uprights are at 82 degrees. So once we have the caps on the truck and the uprights in, we will have to massage the bends a little bit to mate correctly. But those few degrees shouldn't be an issue. So we're just going to bend them at a 90 for now, just to get the rough shape of the piece and make sure everything looks right when we mock everything up. And then we'll cinch it up once everything's in place. First bend. You do have to plan ahead a little bit when you're braking on these small benchtop brakes, because you will occasionally run into a situation where the piece you were trying to make no longer fits in the brake because of the bends you've previously made. So you have to kind of stagger your brakes in the right order. Second bend. And you can start to see how that's shaping up to be that cap. Final bend. Went a little too far past 90, so we'll just ever so gently pull that back. All right, let's take it over the truck. See what she looks like. This is the cap piece that we just bent up on the brake. You can see once this upright has been replaced, it'll be tied into this bottom 2x4. The upright at this 81.5 degree setback or lean on that upright. Once that's in place, this cap will go in, replace the rusted upper rail, and you can see how the cap will tie the upright in on all sides, and it is sitting on top of the existing metal, so it's not quite the fitment, final fitment. But I think we can make that work out really nicely. Here's the driver's side, same idea. Both pieces are bent up, turned out okay. The radius for the bend is a little off on this inner rail. It's going to be hard to see, but the brake bend is a little sharper of a radius. But we will deal with that bridge when we come to it. But I think they're going to work out pretty nicely.
Come and cold as live inside. making big for fast times we never last. Just another hammer of our bones. Just a couple nails inside my soul. When I sleep into the black, we live. I know it's the way of the living dead.
Caps are done, fitted and prepped for welding. Took a little bit of work to get all the angles right to mate up with the upright. But overall, fairly uneventful fabrication on these pieces. Put a slight bevel on the cap and the upper rail. An appropriate gap in between the pieces. You can see on the back side of the cap I have a little notch cut into the upright where that cap then seats, and we'll just fill that to the brim with weld. This upper rail is a little bit more rusted out than the passenger side, but I think we can weld her up all right. Everything is welded up. I went with a 1x square tube for the bracing in place of the factory piece. Just wasn't worth saving. And I attached it to the stake pocket. It seemed like a more stout assembly than attaching it to the panel seam like the factory unit was. But we have good angles on the uprights. The cross beam is level and square. Fitment looks good. And the caps turned out pretty nice. A little bit of rust yet to deal with on that back panel, more than was anticipated, which is usually the case. But other than that, I think we're moving in the right direction. But the question is, will the tailgate fit? Bet your ass. Fits real good. Really happy with it. The rails on the driver's side and passenger side are still level. The spacing is damn near perfect. And this tailgate is just held on by the little tabs there. I'm not even sure what you would call those, but the hinge on the bottom of the tailgate is obviously not mounted, so it's kind of just free floating, but you get the idea. Nice gaps on the back side, the uprights. Each side is fairly even. I am digging it. Thanks for watching.